Who is the most important player outside of Curry for the Warriors? Who is the most important player outside of Tatum for the Celtics?
The Mismatch, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook.
Curry is the best player in the series. He is. I really think he is the thing that could swing it. That's how much respect I have for him. I mean, he's a bona fide Hall of Famer. We know what this would mean for legacy. On and on and on. You know, I know how good Tatum has been. But Jimmy Butler was, in many of those games, the best player on the floor. How often is Steph Curry, is this the, I'm the best guy on this court, I'm the best guy in this series? Like, he is the one thing that as I think a lot about this series, if I'm Boston, there's just no answer for. He shoots the ball from 40 feet away sometimes, Kevin. It doesn't matter who I've got guarding him. He's 40 feet away from the basket, and he's doing it off the dribble. I mean, it's a problem. And so Steph has not been, the numbers are good. He hasn't been otherworldly. Can he be otherworldly in this series against Boston? What do you think?
I mean, of course, he's Steph. You can't say no to that.
I know.
Can't say no to that. I mean, if Steph reaches that otherworldly level, I mean, to your point, Chris, there's nothing you can do. Nothing.
Outside of him. All right, let's set him and Tatum aside, okay? Who is the most important player outside of Curry for the Warriors? Who is the most important player outside of Tatum for the Celtics?
I mean, it's Jaylen Brown for Boston.
Sure.
I mean, outside of Tatum.
Yeah.
I think because with
Jaylen
Brown, because it's still you're talking about the scoring and creation and the defense for that matter too. I mean, you could say it's Al Horford because Horford, it's defense, rim protection, rebounding, but also floor spacing from three and playmaking too. He could be an important piece as a passer in this series as well, from the elbows, from attacking off the bounce after a driving kick. Like, Horford is very, very important too. And for the Warriors side of things, besides Steph, it's Draymond. Of course, it's Draymond.
But it's not about the score.
No, I mean, it's about everything else that Draymond brings. And that's going to be what's so interesting with Draymond, too, is who does Draymond defend? Do they put him on a bigger guy like Horford? Do they have him kind of hiding on a Marcus Smart or Derek White and roaming off those guys and wreaking havoc in the paint? It's going to be really interesting to see the way these teams match up, because we don't know. Like, what happened during the regular season? These teams really haven't faced each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't matter what happened during the season. It's almost not even worth looking at the matchup data. It's just not. So it's like, in this series, who are we going to see Draymond start on? Is it going to be like a guy that they anticipate as a frequent screener for Tatum/Brown because they want to be ready to switch, or do they want to not switch that? Like, do they want to have somebody who is going to be hedging in the pick and roll? I don't know, man. Like, this series, I'm just so excited because you're talking about Steph, like, he can go off. Tatum and Brown could potentially reach another level. Like, you have these young guys who are finally breaking through. You have this dynasty that finally got back, and they have fun players on both sides, great role players who understand their roles and execute it at a high level. Udoka and Kerr have both coached outstanding in the postseason and going back to the regular season too with Udoka. Like, it's gonna be so fun to see the way these teams adjust against each other, and just forgetting all about X's and O's and all that. They just have fun players on both teams.
They do.
The style of play is exciting. They move the ball. They hustle and play hard on defense. There's nothing dislikable, for a casual fan about either of these teams. And if you're a hardcore fan of the Celtics or the Warriors, I mean, Jesus, like these are two lovable teams, man. It's a joy watching them.
Wouldn't you say it would be intensely shocking for this to not be insanely competitive.
I was talking to somebody the other day about this. I don't think that and they said to me that there's not a scenario that would surprise them in this series. And
really?
what their point was is that, like, you could convince me that Boston just kind of is out of gas and that Golden State rolls because Steph goes off, et cetera, as we're talking about. But this person's point was also, you could also convince me that Golden State hasn't run into a team like this, and that Boston ends up really showing the difference that they've created in the NBA right now with their defense and how other teams need to figure out how to score against them when they're playing at an optimal level. I don't agree with that. I think the series is going to go deep. I'd be surprised if it's only like a 4 or 5 game series. So I'm with you there, Chris. I'd go 6 or 7. I just don't see a short series. I don't see I just wanted to present those thoughts because I'm sure there are people who out there listening who do agree with that. But I think it goes deep. You do as well, Chris? 6 or 7, or do you think it goes 7 no matter what?
Oh no! I think yes, absolutely. I think it goes 6 or 7. I do not think we are. I do not think we're going to be done at 5 games. I would be stunned if either of these teams were not able to win 2 from the other. That'd be crazy. We've gotten to this point. We've watched some bad basketball, but I do think we've ended up with an outstanding finals. I do. And I think both of them have been playing very, very well for now an extended amount of time, and kind of have got their bearings. And so I know what we just saw with Celtics Heat, and that was a pretty bad series. And I know that it wasn't very competitive with the Warriors and the Mavericks. But I do think that these teams, because of the matchups, I do think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a good series.